They handed me the champagne tray like I was nothing, never knowing the woman they humiliated was about to sign away their entire fortune with the same pen they used to toast their victory. The Hamptons estate glowed under late afternoon sun the day I arrived. Marble steps, white roses climbing every trellis, the kind of place that screams generational wealth even when the bank statements are bleeding red. I'd barely crossed the threshold when Aunt Evelyn shoved a heavy sterling tray of chilled Veuve Clicquot into my hands. "Circulate these, darling," she announced, loud enough for the caterers, the arriving guests, and probably the neighbors 3 houses down to hear. "And try not to look so adrift. You know how it is when you're still figuring things out." My fingers locked around the tray's edges until the metal bit into my skin. I hadn't flown in from San Francisco to play cocktail waitress. I'd come because she'd actually begged me to bring my notary seal and witness the stack of refinancing documents she just needed to tidy up before the party. But in under 60 seconds, she'd reduced me to staff. I didn't argue. I didn't smile and say, "Funny you mention figuring things out, Aunt Ev. I figured out how to build a $280 million logistics tech company while you were still pretending your Amex Black was bottomless." If she wanted to see me as the quiet, underachieving niece who does tech things from home, I would give her exactly that illusion. It was the best camouflage I'd ever had. I drifted through the lawn party like a ghost in Sensible Flats, offering flutes to hedge fund managers, gallery owners, and one private equity partner who'd once pitched me a terrible Series B term sheet. None of them looked twice. To every guest, I was simply the help. Not Harper Voss, founder and CEO of Vertex Supply Chain Technologies, the platform quietly powering half the Fortune 200's just-in-time inventory. They'd Googled Harper Voss once upon a time, found no red carpet photos, no Forbes profile, no splashy Instagram, and stopped there. They never reached the Delaware corporate registry that showed Vertex nested under Voss Global Holdings LLC, my personal fortress. Near the infinity pool, Evelyn was already performing for her audience, champagne in one hand, diamond tennis bracelet catching every ray. "Harper's cousin, my Sophia, is about to change everything," she declared to a small knot of women in pastel linen. "VP of Global Business Development, 6 figures plus bonus. Finally, someone pulling this family forward." I knew the real math behind the performance. 2 hours earlier, while the string quartet was still tuning, Evelyn spread her refinancing packet across the kitchen island and asked me to notarize every signature. The Hamptons house, the Aspen condo, the fleet of leased Range Rovers, it was all leveraged to the hilt. Bridge loans, HELOCs, private credit notes with 18% coupons. The call clocks had turned hourly. Sophia's new salary wasn't maternal pride, it was oxygen for a drowning woman. Evelyn had quietly cross-collateralized the main residence to secure one last personal line of credit, betting the roof that her daughter's first paycheck would arrive before the sheriff did. I could have dropped the tray right then, could have listed my cap table, my latest valuation, watched 50 Botoxed foreheads crease in unison. Instead, I stayed silent. Power that announces itself is power that's already spent. Real power simply waits for the signature. 4 weeks earlier, my general counsel had slid an internal email across my screen. "FYI, family applicant, thought you should review personally. Sophia Langford, position VP Global Business Development, base $375,000 plus 1.2% equity pool plus performance bonus. Enough liquidity to plug every hole in Evelyn's balance sheet for years." I didn't reject the application. I called our forensic investigations partner and said one sentence: "Dig until it hurts." The report arrived in a sealed black envelope that felt heavier than it should. Page 1, Columbia Business School Executive MBA, in reality a 3-week online certificate in supply chain essentials that she never completed. The registrar's letter was 1 line long. No degree conferred, no credits earned. Page 4-12, during her last role at a mid-market freight forwarding SaaS firm, Sophia had greenlit $1.4 million in vendor advisory fees to a Delaware LLC called Pinnacle Edge Partners, registered to the home address of her ex-boyfriend from sophomore year. Wire traces showed 70% of the funds rebounding to accounts she controlled within 120 days. Embezzlement dressed up as consulting. Most CEOs would have sent a polite, application not moving forward email. I'm not most CEOs. I'm the cousin she mocked at every Thanksgiving for still living like a grad student. So I approved the offer and buried 2 landmines in the 78-page employment packet. Mine 1, Federal Integrity Affidavit, required for our DoD-adjacent contracts. Swear under penalty of perjury that you've never engaged in financial misconduct. Lie equals 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 felony. Mine 2, $3 million executive fidelity and performance bond. Cash or hard collateral. Guarantor acceptable if backed by qualifying real property. I knew Sophia had maybe $8,000 in liquid assets. I also knew who would co-sign in panic. The offer went out FedEx overnight. 48 hours later, Evelyn had overnighted the countersigned bond, using the Hamptons residence as sole collateral, because all she saw was the headline salary and the breathing room it promised. She didn't read the cross-default clause. She didn't question why a logistics software company demanded $3 million in personal surety. She saw only rescue. Now the sun was dropping, the party sliding from polite to lubricated. Evelyn stepped onto the low stone terrace and tapped a champagne flute with a spoon. "Everyone, before we bring out the cake, Sophia and I are stepping into the library for a quick ceremonial signing, official start date paperwork, then we really celebrate." Applause. Laughter. Sophia, radiant in cream silk, caught my eye near the bar cart and glided over. "Harper," she purred, using my name like it was a favor, "be an angel and bring the 2012 Chateau Margaux to the library, the one Daddy was cellaring. We'll toast the moment it's official, and maybe try not to look so jealous. It's not cute." I held her gaze. "I'll be right there." She smirked and sailed indoors. I set the tray down, walked to the guest suite, opened my slim carbon fiber case. Inside, the black-bound forensic report, executed bond copies, freshly filed UCC-1 financing statement already recorded with the county clerk, and one matte titanium business card. I entered the library last. Evelyn was arranging herself for an Instagram story, papers fanned like a hand of cards. Sophia lounged in the wingback chair, twirling a gold fountain pen. I placed the titanium card face down beside the contract packet. Sophia flipped it. Harper Voss, founder, chairman, and CEO, Voss Global Holdings LLC, DBA, Vertex Supply Chain Technologies. Her breath caught like a snapped wire. "You?" "Me," I said. Evelyn laughed, high, brittle. "What is this little performance, Harper? Enough." Sophia wasn't laughing. She was staring at the Vertex logo header on her own offer letter, then back at my card, watching her reality implode in real time. "I own the company you just signed to join, and 72 hours ago I received a comprehensive background investigation on you." I opened the black binder methodically. Columbia Certificate Program, no degree. Pinnacle Edge Partners, $1.4 million cycled through your ex's Delaware LLC, and this, I tapped the ink still wet affidavit, is your sworn statement under federal penalty of perjury that you zero history of financial irregularity. You just committed a felony in front of a notary and 2 witnesses. Evelyn reached. I pinned the stack under my palm. "Don't." I turned to the bond. Material breach, including acts constituting fraud, triggers immediate call. $3 million due within 96 hours. Evelyn's voice was barely audible. "We don't have—" "I know. That's why the house was pledged." I showed her my phone.
County Clerk timestamp. UCC1 and Notice of Default recorded 40 minutes ago. The property is now encumbered to Voss Global Holdings. Sophia's knees buckled. Evelyn gripped the desk like it was the last solid thing left. "I told you to make yourself useful today," I said quietly. "So I did. I showed you the difference between an asset and a very expensive liability." I gathered every document, slid them into the case, and walked to the door. Behind me, Sophia whispered, "Harper, please." I didn't turn. Outside, the party glittered on, laughter rolling across the lawn, string quartet playing something elegant and oblivious. No one noticed that inside the library, 2 women had just watched their future evaporate. A charcoal Bentley idled at the gate. "Airport?" the driver asked. "Manhattan first," I said. "I want to see the skyline at night." I blocked their numbers somewhere over the Triborough Bridge. 14 months later, the Hamptons house sold at foreclosure auction. Evelyn relocated to a condo in White Plains. Sophia now works overnight inventory at a big box retailer in Jersey, permanently barred from any executive or fiduciary position after the felony perjury plea became public. I signed off on the internal promotion of the woman who took Sophia's slot. Flawless credentials, no shortcuts, no family baggage. And the next time someone at a family event tries to hand me a tray, I'll accept it with perfect courtesy and keep every single secret I still hold.